As we were all growing up and going through school, we all had that same assignment at some point. Put together a family tree. So out came the poster board, the stickers, the magic markers, crayons, and pencils, and then you had to write down the name of each one of your family members, what they did, and what you wanted to do with your life. Well, over the course of the decades, the George family has spread across the Jersey Shore as athletes, coaches, educators, and a beach manager, and they've all impacted our lives across Monmouth and Ocean counties in ways that we may not have even realized. Our story begins in the 1930s when William George played as a two-way lineman for Long Branch High School, served as team captain, and also played alongside his brother Walter. William George Jr. played fullback and linebacker in the 1950s. He was an only child who one day had 5 children of his own with his wife Mary, William III, Danny, Alex, Tommy, and Mary, who between them have 17 children. More on the younger Georges later. Bill, Danny, Alex, and Tommy all followed in their grandfather and father's footsteps by playing green wave football.
It was a tremendous sense of pride and tradition in our family, in Long Branch. High school means a great deal to all of us.
When you have brothers and you all play football at the same time, it doesn't matter what age you are or who's older. When you're in the huddle, there's one player who has that opportunity to speak just a little bit more.
I may be the oldest, but I was never allowed to speak in the huddle. Danny was the quarterback, so Alex and I were offensive linemen here. Alex was the center, so he got to say a little more than I did. But as an offensive tackle, I got to say very little.
Danny, who was also the team captain, had a habit of calling certain audibles at the line of scrimmage, including one time in particular that only his brother Alex, who was the center, knew anything about. His decision drew questions from his teammates and head coach Jack Levy, but Danny delivered.
We used to run quarterback sneak a lot, not like on 3rd or 4th and 1. We're talking about like 1st down or 2nd down. And I come to the sidelines, Coach Levy said, I knew I could get 10 yards, Coach. So I would everybody else would run the play, and Alex and I just tap him on the inside of his leg, and he knew we were going. And so that was kind of funny little thing we used to do. My players, the guys in the huddle used to get a little pissed. You're supposed to throw the ball. I said, well, I saw it, guys. I got 10 yards. Come on.
Danny describes summer training camp under Coach Levy preparing for an upcoming football season as being physically demanding, featuring 3 practices a day.
So we would literally sleep on the gym floor with 50 guys. We got up, we had breakfast, we ran a mile, we went back, we got dressed, we came to practice. We must have hit 6 hours a day. Now you can hit 1 hour a week. So it was like, talk about unity and talking about coming together. You had no choice. By the end of that week, you were like, you dragged yourself home.
No matter where in life football takes you, the memory of the first time and season you step onto a football field is something that you cherish for the rest of your life.
I still can go right back to the first day of freshman football practice and meeting guys that would come on to become lifelong friends.
Playing football with your friends is something that you cherish forever. But when you can play football with your brothers, there's an indescribable joy.
It was such a tremendous treat to be able to play with these 2 guys, for a year on varsity football. And then Tommy and I were a little more separated. But seeing, what that team became, one of the greatest teams in Long Branch history, it's really amazing.
Tommy became an impactful player for Long Branch at offensive guard and middle linebacker, perhaps in part from the sneak peek of the Green Wave program he got in middle school.
Tommy was in the 8th grade when I was a senior. And he was the water boy, so he was like the team manager. And then Tommy is, quick stat that a lot of people don't know. He was the only first team all group, all state out of the Georges, and one of a very few actually in Long Branch history. So we're really proud of him.
While Bill, Danny, Alex, and Tommy all went to Long Branch High School, Mary went to St. Rose High School, where she played basketball and soccer. She may be the youngest, but Mary was just as competitive as her brothers growing up.
My dad was a former phys ed teacher too, so he would occasionally go downstairs and bring up, he had boxing gloves and the whole thing, and we would have little boxing matches in the backyard. And then it got to the point where Mary was still involved, and nobody wanted to get punched by Mary because that was like not, that was going to hurt. Everybody else knew how to kind of to do it, but Mary was a fierce. She was a fierce competitor. She was a fierce competitor.
Bill, Danny, Alex, and Tommy all went from playing football in the fall to wrestling in the winter at Long Branch High School. Following high school, Bill went on to play football at Michigan State while earning his undergraduate degree before going to Ohio State for his master's, where he also worked in the Buckeyes football program. Danny, who won a district title in 1983 at 155 pounds, and Alex both went to Ohio State where they wrestled, and Danny became the team captain as well for 2 years. Tommy went to the University of Maryland, where he played football. While being on the football and wrestling teams were a big part of who Bill, Danny, Alex, and Tommy were, it was an education-first mantra from their parents that made them who they are today.
With my parents, it was always about education, and we were always students first, and that education provided life lessons on this football field, on the wrestling mat, humility, work ethic, dealing with failure, overcoming failure.
Their father continued to encourage and help guide the siblings on how to be successful and achieve big goals.
I think his greatest quality was his toughness, and how he instilled a sense of toughness in us. And he didn't think there was any other way but the highest level way. So we all went as walk-ons. So we could have had opportunities at possibly smaller schools and had, possibly great careers there. But, he was like, take a shot.
Bill, Danny, and Alex all went into coaching after their playing days were over. Bill was an assistant football coach at Red Bank Regional High School and a head wrestling coach at Long Branch High School, where he also coached with Danny. Alex was a head freshman football coach at Manchester High School, where he also coached wrestling. Danny is heading into his 21st season coaching Green Wave football and his 22nd as the head wrestling coach. He is also the high school track and field head coach. For Danny, coaching 2 and 3 sports means spending a lot of time at the field and with athletes. It's been a tough challenge over the years, but one he's been able to tackle with the help of his wife, Lisa.
I had the support from Lisa, who, drove everybody everywhere, did everything for so many years when, with football, back to wrestling, back to track, you're literally, almost every day out, every holiday out, so you, on the bad end, you're missing things. But it had Lisa.
Danny had to tackle another schedule crunch 27 years ago while coaching wrestling at Red Bank Regional High School. It was the day Danny Jr. was born, and born early at just 23 weeks. He weighed 1 pound, 1 ounce. His dad says he is one of the most premature babies ever born at Monmouth Medical Center. At the same time, Danny discovered that the delivery doctor had a connection to the wrestling team he was coaching at Red Bank.
So I meet the doctor, we go through it, now, basically you have a less than 10% of making it. And so we're there, everybody's, kind of in the room. We're not with Danny. Now I have a wrestling match at Neptune in the afternoon that Lisa says, you got to go to the wrestling match. So I went, coached the wrestling match that day, came back after another week or two with the doctor. I'm coaching the doctor's son at Red Bank Regional. I was at Red Bank at the time. So his 2 boys I coached at Red Bank.
There are many life lessons and strategies Danny has been able to pass on to the athletes he's coached over the years, including how to compete.
Getting up every morning, eating the right food that you need to eat, feeding your brain, going to class, being competitive in the classroom, because all your goals are going to have to be met with being competitive in the classroom, coming to practice, being competitive at practice in order for us to become better as a team. And then, when the whistle blows and they kick it off, now you gotta go.
Sports have a way of teaching us important life lessons above the game we play that help us build relationships, develop a hard work ethic, and find humility in everything we do.
You have to be selfless. You have to put the goals of your organization, the goals of this team have to be bigger than your individual goals. It's never been about stats. It's never been about individual performance. At the end of the day, it's about accomplishing the goals of the team.
The lessons in life and sports that Bill, Danny, Alex, Tommy, and Mary learned from their parents and grandparents over the years are what they have passed on to their children. Bill and his wife Helen's son William George IV, or Billy, is their oldest at 29 years old and played football and wrestled for his uncle Danny at Long Branch High School before going to Cornell, where he wrestled for 4 years. Billy is now an assistant wrestling coach at Rumson Fairhaven High School. Jake also wrestled for his uncle Danny at Long Branch High School and ran cross country before going to Cornell, where he wrestled as well. Sarah was a star lacrosse player at Shore Regional High School and recently graduated from Ohio State, where she continued that sport. Mary Kate also played lacrosse at Shore Regional High School and then went to Ohio State as well, where she is currently a sophomore. Danny George Jr. is Danny and Lisa's oldest son at 27 years old and has been the team manager for the Long Branch High School football team, working alongside his dad on the football field, with the wrestling team, and at the beach, where Danny Sr. has been the beach manager since 2007. Their son Nicholas wrestled in high school and then played football his senior year. Nicholas went on to wrestle at Roger Williams University, then on to the ROTC, and is currently in his 4th year as a first lieutenant of the 82nd Airborne Division. He's currently being transferred to Fort Leonard Wood in Missouri. Abigail, who was a standout soccer and lacrosse player at Red Bank Catholic, is now a sophomore at Coastal Carolina, where she is a scholarship lacrosse player. Alex and his wife Debbie have 3 children. Ellie is going to be a junior at the University of South Carolina, where she is studying public health and going into pre-med. Prior to that, Ellie was a swimmer at Shore Regional High School. Sophie played lacrosse in high school with her cousins Mary Kate and Holly at Shore Regional High School. Sophie graduated and is taking a gap year before moving on to college. Alex Jr. is going to be a freshman at Shore Regional High School, where he'll be playing football, basketball, and lacrosse. Tommy and his wife Patrice's oldest child, Tommy Jr., won a state sectional title as a runner at Shore Regional High School, and he currently owns a surfboard company. Holly played lacrosse with Mary Kate at Shore Regional High School before graduating this year and is currently attending the University of Delaware. Summer is in elementary school. Mary and her husband Jamie Mazzocco have 4 children. Their daughter Carolyn played soccer, went to Shore Regional High School, and is currently a swimmer at the College of New Jersey. Jamie currently plays football, lacrosse, and he wrestles at Shore Regional, where Katie plays lacrosse and is a swimmer. John is in elementary school in Monmouth Beach, but has played football, soccer, and he swims. When the playing days were done and they had graduated from college, Bill, Danny, Alex, and Mary all went into education, following in the footsteps of their parents, who were both teachers. Their father, William Jr., played football at Murray State before becoming a special education and driver's education teacher at Mattawan High School, and in 1972 he joined Waterford Crystal and Wedgwood China of North America, where he would later become the CEO. He also ran for mayor of Long Branch in 1990. William Jr. tragically passed away in 1992 from a heart attack at the age of 51, but he is still very much alive today through his children, grandchildren, and everyone impacted by what he did in the classroom, business world, football field, and above all, in what he did raising a family. His wife Mary was an English teacher at Shore Regional High School, and she also remains a member of the Long Branch High School football team's booster club to this day. Bill has spent his entire career in education, going from an elementary school physical education and health teacher in Little Silver to Long Branch High School, where he was also a wrestling coach before becoming an assistant principal at Long Branch Middle School, the principal at Monmouth Regional High School, followed by assistant, then superintendent of schools in Hazlitt. Following 9 years as superintendent of the Middletown School District and 33 years to date in public education, Bill retired on August 31st and will be continuing his educational career as a college professor at Monmouth University. Danny went from working in accounting for Price Waterhouse to working in education. He is now heading into his 21st season as the head football coach at Long Branch High School, where he's won 3 state sectional championships and has 159 career wins heading into the 2020 season. He's also entering his 22nd season as the head wrestling coach. Danny surpassed 400 wins as a wrestling coach in 2018 from his time in Long Branch, combined with the 9 years prior to that in Red Bank. He's also won 3 NJSIAA Group 2 championships, 6 NJSIAA sectional titles, and 8 division division championships. In addition to coaching football, wrestling, and track, Danny also currently works in the Long Branch Athletic Department office as the Officer of Student Affairs, and for 13 years he has been the beach manager for the city of Long Branch. Danny's football, wrestling, and track teams at Long Branch High School have combined to win 16 division titles and 8 state championships, earning him Coach of the Year honors 22 times. That all led to Danny being inducted into the Long Branch High School Athletic Hall of Fame, the New Jersey Scholastic Coaches Association Hall of Fame, and the Shore Football Coaches Foundation Hall of Fame. Alex worked for Esquire magazine in advertising sales before heading into education. He became an English and journalism teacher in Manchester, where he also oversaw the school newspaper and yearbook. He remained in sports for a while as well, coaching wrestling and freshman football at the home of the Hawks for 10 years. Alex has been working in the Manchester School District for 24 years now and is currently the Director of Administrative Services. Tommy followed in his father's business path by going into the crystal and insurance business, even running his own business, Thomas James Crystal. After graduating St. Rose High School in 1988, Mary went on to Ohio State before graduating from Monmouth University and is currently a 5th grade teacher in Long Branch. As they look back on the days of playing, coaching, and teaching, Bill, Danny, and Alex are all drawn back to their roots, which helped them grow to who they are today.
My mother was an academician, and I knew she was one of the smartest people that I've ever met to this day. And at that time, I just thought that she was all-knowing, and I aspired to knowledge at the level that she had. And my dad's passion and work ethic, I aspired to that. And his, charisma, ability to communicate and talk with people was all part of a journey of growth that I got here in Long Branch, and I got through athletics and academics. And I think we took that success, the success that we had, and we wanted others to feel that.
One of the things that means the most to Danny is having players share the experiences they had with him before, during, and after each and every game.
They are memories that are lifetime experiences, but I really think when we talk and when those guys listen and read, and I just want them to remember pregame, game, postgame. They were the things that are the blueprint for life.
Our families extend past our bloodlines to also include those who we line up with on the athletic field.
Our dad was an only child, and I think the one thing that he wanted to do in life was his family was everybody around him, right? So his family was ginormous because it was the football team at Long Branch High School, the basketball team, the baseball team, and I think that's the way he kind of went about his life and kind of created this, ginormous family outside of the 5 of us, and created such a tight bond and unity there. But I think each of us also now has that cycle of or circle of friends that we've all had the opportunity to meet and be a part of along the way.
They've accomplished a great deal in the athletic fields as players and coaches, and those experiences are filled with cherished memories. But when you remember the George family, know their kindness, humility, that education is important, and family means everything. For the Shore Sports Network, I'm Vin Ebenau.